All right, welcome back to another episode of Working Girls Don't Gatekeep. Today I have Kat G here with us today. Kat is an English language assistant living in Madrid, Spain, but she's originally from America. So I'm excited to chat with her today because I saw one of her videos on TikTok, and I think she used to be an au pair in Europe. And back when I was like maybe 1 or 2 years out of college, I was working a full-time job, 8 to 5, and I was like, this is not it. And I want to be an au pair in Europe. So I started like looking online and seeing what that could look like, but I didn't know anybody who did that. So I ended up not pursuing it, but I'm really looking forward to learning from Kat today and what it's like to be an American living abroad.
Yay, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Yes, this is going to be a really cool conversation because honestly, you're like living the dream. So I'm going to live through you.
Yeah, I know I am. I understand. This was my dream though, so it's been
Cool.
yeah.
So let's kind of rewind for a second and tell me one of your first favorite jobs that you've had, maybe back in high school or college or right out of college. Just something fun.
Okay. Um, I would say I always did babysitting, like always. So that that was like definitely my first job and really like my only job until I went to college. So
Did you have
always
younger siblings or why did you want to do babysitting so much?
um I don't know. Yeah, I have an older brother, but I think when I was younger, I had babysitters that I was like obsessed with.
Yeah.
So it just was natural. It was like an obvious choice.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Dallas, Texas, my
Okay.
whole life until I went to college. Yeah.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to college at University of Oklahoma. So it was like a 3 hour drive from Dallas. A lot of people from Dallas go there. I also had family from Oklahoma, so I think that was like always kind of the plan.
Is that the red and white one, like Boomer Soomers?
Boom,
Okay.
boom, yeah.
Fun. Were you in a sorority?
Yes, I was a Kaio.
I
So
th
much,
I feel like that school is a big Greek school.
very much, yes.
Okay.
So I was super into that at the time. It seems like so long ago now.
Yeah.
I was obsessed.
It's so funny. I was not in a sorority, but I remember like in college, people who were in it, it's just like kind of a vacuum and it's becomes the kind of everything to you. And then once you step away, then it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. It just is easy
So
to like love it so much in a good way.
yeah, yeah, it was a little bit too much for me, maybe. Like once I got out of it, I was like, wow, like it was my whole personality, I feel like. So yeah, interesting. I had fun though.
Yeah. What was your major in college?
I majored in dental hygiene, very specific. Um, I'm not doing that right now. But
Yeah, that is very specific to know that that's like what you want to do. I didn't know that you had to go to a 4 year school to be a dental hygienist.
yeah, so you can get just an associate's degree and become a dental hygienist. Since I was going to the 4 year university, I decided to go through with the bachelor's program. But yeah, I always, from when I was little, I loved going to the dentist, which was weird. Like I would ask my mom when are we going back? So I had a really good experience. And then when I was in high school, I was like thinking about college and then thinking about majors, and that just seemed like a really good career to have. So
Yeah,
I stuck with it and went all the way through. And now I'm not doing it anymore. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so tell me how you got to Europe.
Okay. So I Okay, let's start in high school. My school had these educational trips like the week of spring break through EF Tours. It's a like traveling company. Um, and so I had the opportunity to go every year of high school. Super lucky. And my first time abroad was like my freshman year. So I was probably 14 or 15. And we went to Rome and I became obsessed. That was like, I just loved Europe. And then we went to other countries the other years. But in college, I never did study abroad. So it kind of didn't match up with my major. Like my major was super like science and very specific, especially once I got into dental hygiene school. So I also was very, I had a lot of FOMO in college and I wanted to do everything and like stay with my friends, go to football games, all that stuff. I did not want to miss out on that stuff, so I never studied abroad. I really wish that I did like the full semester. I did like a 2.5 week course during the summer. Um, Loved that, but yeah, I just never did the full thing and always wished that I did. Um, so
Yeah,
there's yeah,
I
sorry.
can relate to that. So I never studied abroad in
Mhm.
college. I had planned to go my senior year to Madrid actually and live with the host family. And that was my senior year, which I think was probably going to be the best time for me because beforehand I was like, I don't want to not live with my friends. Like all my
Exactly.
friends are going to be living at college and they're going to go to like the spring jam and they're going to go to
Yes.
football and stuff. Like, why would I miss out on that? And I felt like I was going to be homesick. So it never really made sense for me, but definitely looking back, like it's such a great opportunity because it is a set period of time. It's like, okay, for 4 months, you'll be gone, but you're coming home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, looking back, like I wish that I did it, but also I feel like what I'm doing now makes much more sense. Because I am glad that I stayed and like got to experience all of college living in Norman, Oklahoma, because it was so much fun. And now I'm here doing this, so it makes sense now. But my family and I were going to go to Italy when I graduated college as like a graduation celebration. And it was 2020. So
Hmm.
yeah, got canceled and we postponed it for 2 years later when everything was good to go again. So that was 2022 in the spring. And at that time, I was working as a dental hygienist for like 2 years at that point, and living in Oklahoma City in my own apartment. I had a cat, like super kind of settled almost. And that trip is when I like changed my mind about everything because I was like, I forgot how much I love Europe and how amazing it is. And just like, I remembered how much I wanted to travel. And yeah, I think I was 23 and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not happy with like the way my life is going. I'm content, like, but there's like so much more in me or so much more that I want to do. So
Yeah,
that changed the thing.
that's
uh,
awesome. I love that
yeah,
you were able to listen to that because I think a lot of people hear that little voice in their mind, but then don't do anything about it. Um, but from a young age, you knew that you loved Europe
yeah,
and that there was something there.
yeah. There was so many places I wanted to go also, but Italy is definitely like where my heart is. I think probably because it's the first place that I visited, but it's just like so special.
Hmm.
Um, so when I left that trip, I was so sad to go back to my
Oh.
life, like my boring little life. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I just like I changed everything. Like that week when I got back, I was like, I'm gonna do something about this. Like I'm gonna get back to Europe. So my lease on my apartment was coming around and I was like, I don't know if I should resign or not. They were also like increasing the price. And so I was like, okay, I think I'm just like not gonna sign again and figure something else out. So I decided to move home with my parents. Um, I moved back in August, I believe. So
So you quit your
my
job.
I quit my job. Yeah.
Wow.
I
Yep.
also I was in a relationship at that point for like 2 years. And yeah, I like I quit everything,
Yes.
put my stuff in storage, and
Okay.
me and my cat um went out to Oregon because that's where my parents moved actually. They moved there in 2021. So yeah. It
That's
was
huge.
a lot of change. But my mom came to Oklahoma and we drove for 3 days with my cat and my stuff. Like I didn't know how long I was going to be staying in Oregon. I didn't know anything. I had like all my furniture and everything that I felt like I didn't need in storage and went to Oregon.
Yeah. Were you single at that time?
Yeah, it was kind of like once I moved, that was kind of the end of it.
Hmm.
So yeah. Um,
So how long were you in Oregon before you kind of put together what was next?
okay, so I was in Oregon in August, and in September, I made my profile on AuPairWorld.com. And I heard about au pairing, I think, through like the internet. I think I Googled when I got back from that trip, like, how do you live in Europe?
Yeah.
American. So I think au pair just like popped up. And then I started doing research. So I was like looking on for podcasts and I was looking for TikToks just to like see what it's actually like. Because it sounds very scary to go and live with strangers in another country. And I think that there's like a lot of bad stories out there. Um,
I'm sure.
so I just wanted to like see everything that I could before doing it. So yeah, I made my profile and I knew from the start, like I will not be doing this unless I find like the perfect family, and the perfect place. So I was kind of just like testing the water at that point to see what was out there. And the website looks like kind of sketchy.
Oh,
So yeah, it's just like a little bit more like low tech, I think.
okay.
And it's free. So yeah, it's I did not know what to expect.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
really quickly, can you tell us what au pairing is for some people who may not
yeah,
know what that is? And then
yeah.
also, I'm just curious, what was your perfect place? Because one thing about, I remember this AuPairWorld.com because I had a profile there too. You could select the countries, like
Mhm.
choice number one is Spain, choice number two is this, but I was matched with people in Sweden. I wasn't against that. I just don't speak Swedish. So
Yeah.
you had to select like English speaking only, you know, combination, whatever. So tell me about like your perfect match, if you could.
Yeah.
And also, what is an au pair?
Yeah. Okay, so an au pair is like a person, normally somebody probably under the age of 30, probably between 18 and 30, that's from another country, and they come to your country and live with the host family, and they're like a nanny for the kids. So, yeah, it's technically like a nanny just from another country. And a lot of people, a lot of families want that for their kids to have another culture introduced, another language. In my case, my Italian host family wanted their daughter to improve her English. So
And do you get
that
paid?
is, you do get paid. I think most people get paid. It's not very much. I will be spilling the tea on that, but it's really, I'd say, an experience. For me, that was what it was. It was definitely not like a career, I'd say.
Sure.
But
Because you
for me,
get free housing, essentially.
yeah, free housing, free food,
Mm.
uh, yeah, and just like you get to live in another country.
Yeah, which is what you wanted to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so my perfect like situation was in Italy. I knew that. Um, I wanted like probably like less kids, like not a ton of kids, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I just wanted like a simple kind of not a quiet family, but like sweet. Um, but it really was all about like being in Italy.
Okay.
So yeah. And I wanted like to really connect with another family and like at that point I really wanted to learn Italian too. And just like dive more into the culture. And that is what happens when you like live with other people from another country. You are like
Yeah.
in the culture for real. So
Cool. And where in Italy were you?
I was in Arezzo. It's a town like an hour south of Florence. That's like the biggest city closest to us. So it's in the region of Tuscany, and it was the cutest town ever. That's actually where I did my like 2.5 week course in college during the summer. So
Wow.
yeah, so when I was looking on AuPairWorld, they had messaged me and I saw they were living in Arezzo. And so immediately I was like, I would go there because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like a dream to like live in Tuscany. And
Yes.
obviously you have to work, but
Yeah. It really was not, it did not feel like working at all to me. Um, I had the sweetest, best family ever. Like I consider them my real family at this point.
Hmm.
Um, and they told me from the beginning also that they weren't looking for like an employee. They like wanted somebody to join their family.
Sweet.
So that was a green flag for sure.
Yeah. That's so
But
sweet. So go ahead.
oh, I can get into like the process of deciding with them too, like and the timeline if you want me to talk
Sure.
about that.
Sure, I
Okay.
will.
So it was like in September when I created my profile, and then throughout that month is when I was messaging with my host family, and we did a we did some video calls. But before we even did that, they gave me the contact information of their last au pair. So they had had one before me, I think in like 2019. Um, and she was my same age, and she went to Ole Miss, which is where my brother went to college. So yeah, she was so nice, and we talked on the phone and she told me everything, like, and she had no bad things to say. And I asked her every single question I could think of, and I like trusted her because she had such a good experience. And so before I even talked to my host family on the phone, I was like already like happy with what I had heard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always tell people you have to talk to their last au pair if they had one. Like you have to get the details of their
Yeah.
situation. So
To get
yeah,
the real story, because
yeah,
people like in interviews can really put on a good face and stuff, but like
mhm,
the previous references probably will tell you the truth.
yeah. Really. So
Okay, so how long were you in Italy for and living with them? And is it a commitment that you say, like, I will be your au pair for 12 months or 9 months or whatever?
yeah, so I wanted to stay anywhere from like 3 to 6 months because I was still scared at that point of moving abroad. Um, and then you get into the situation with the visas. So I did research on getting a visa because my host family also wanted me to stay for like 6 months because they wanted me to start in January and then go through when school ended, which was like June. So I was doing research, and to get a visa, most au pairs will get a student visa. And to do that, you have to take Italian classes or be in school for 20 hours a week. And I was looking into classes in my little town, Arezzo, and they did have a language school, but it was really expensive
Mm,
for classes. I think for staying for like 4 months, doing 4 months of classes, I think was like 2,500. So at that point, I was like, I don't think I want to do that just
yeah.
to stay like a month, because I didn't mention this, but as an American, you can stay in um, European countries for 90 days only without having a visa.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and my host family too, they were like, that's way too expensive. If you can only stay for 3 months, we're fine with that. So I only stayed for 3 months, and we knew that from the start. It's exactly 90 days. You have to get out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, I knew that from the start, and that was good with me because I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I'm like, don't know if I'm gonna be able to be away from my family, my friends for that long.
Mhm.
So I was good with that from the start. Then when the 90 days was up, I was devastated when I left. Like, I have never cried so much when I left my host family, and I wish that I would have done student visa. Um, because once I got there, I like learned more about it. And there's a school in Florence that some of my au pair friends went to, and it was a lot less money. And I think they were a little bit lenient on you actually going to the class. So looking back, I would have done that if I had known that, if I had done more research. Um, because then I could have stayed longer and it would have been cheaper to stay. So yeah.
Okay, so you had to go home at 3 months.
Yes, at 3 months. And also I was gonna say a lot of people will have contracts. My family, they were so chill. We didn't do that. I trusted them. I trusted the previous au pair. So we didn't do a contract. We just kind of like talked about um my role, and yeah, that's what we did.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your experience there. And I want to also get into what you're doing today, but just for people, like, tell me what it was like to be an au pair with a family. And
Yeah.
did you get to travel with them? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess my job duties were just picking up the little girl, her name's Laura, picking her up from school every day and taking her home, and just like helping her with homework. So those were really, that was all I had to do.
Hmm.
Very easy. Her dad would take her to school in the morning, because he worked near her school. So they did that, and then I would just come pick her up. They also had a car for me to drive. Um, Most cars over here are like stick shift. I do not know how to do that, but they had an automatic car. So I was able to do that, go pick her up. I mean, it was a small town, so I think it was only like 5 minute drive to go get her. Um, so yeah, I was free in the mornings, and then at night I was free. So very easy. They didn't expect me to like do any household chores. Um, I obviously like did with dishes and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, they were just so sweet to me. They made really nice dinners every night. My host dad always cooked, and I would like try to do the dishes afterwards, and they'd be like, "No, go rest,
Oh,
go on the couch." They were so nice to me. Um, because many situations, like au pairs do have to do chores, like they have, um like it's in a contract normally.
okay.
So yeah, I think most people actually are expected to do a little bit more than that. I just had a very easy situation. I got really lucky.
Did they live in a house or an apartment?
They lived in an apartment, so their apartment actually was like 2 floors, and I had the top floor. So not like an attic. It was definitely like shorter. The roof was very short, or the ceiling was short because I'm tall. And there's a bathroom up there. There was a bed, like my bedroom. They had a washer and a dryer, which is very rare for Europe. They did not have dryers there.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was like all mine. And I also had a separate door to go up there. So if I, for whatever reason, I could just go straight up to my room. Like I wouldn't have to walk through the apartment if I needed to. So it was very private, and that was something that I was like, I really would like my own bathroom.
Yeah.
Exciting. So yeah.
Did you travel with them?
Yes. They have like a beach house, and we did that a couple times. So that was nice. We were thinking about skiing, but we never got around to it. And then we also would take little trips to like nearby towns. We went to Florence a couple times, and yeah, that was really fun being with um Italian people. They know, and they could tell me like so much history. So that was really nice.
Cool. Okay, so what happens when you came home 3 months later, and then how did you make your way back to Europe?
Um, okay. Do you mind if I close the door? I
Yeah.
think I don't know if you can hear that, but I hear some like construction.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Okay, so when I left, I actually did my first solo trip when I left, because when my 90 days was up, that was just for Europe, and I wanted to go to the UK. So since they are not a part of the same union anymore, you can do that. So
Wow.
yeah, it was up in Europe. I had to get out of Europe, but I could go to the UK. So I went to London, and that was my first solo trip. I think I was there for 3 or 4 days, because I like didn't really get to travel as much as I wanted to while I was au pairing, because it was only 3 months, and I was so close with my host family. I like wanted to stay with them all the time. um while I was au pairing, I did go to Paris. That was like my big trip. But I wanted to keep traveling, and I couldn't keep traveling in Europe because I had to get out. So I did London. Um, that was great. And then went back to the US, went back to Oregon, and I think that was at the end of April. And I immediately was like, I have to find a way to get back there. Um, so I started doing more research, and I have a friend that I met in Oregon that was doing this program called CIEE. That was the group that she was going with, and she was going to be an English teacher's assistant in Madrid. And I did meet a couple of people while I was au pairing that had friends that had done it and loved it. So I just started asking around about it, doing more research, and the application was due May 1st. And I think I got back like April 26th. So I quickly did an application for it, not really knowing what I was going to do, because my au pair family also had invited me back in the fall. So I that was really hard to figure that out. But yeah, I quickly applied and then I got accepted, and I think they told me I had like 10 days to decide if I was going to do it or not. And you had to put like a deposit down. And so I really had to like talk to my family and like think about the pros and cons because I loved au pairing and I loved my host family, but I knew that going back I would have to like figure out a visa situation. And I also wanted a job that maybe could like open my eyes to something else, like more of a career,
Mm-hmm.
make a little bit more money.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was in the end, I decided I wanted to like try something new and see a new place also. And I also was like, I can visit my host family a lot easier if I'm in Spain. So that's how that happened. It was like a very fast decision. Um, and it ended up being great.
Yeah, good. When did you end up moving to Madrid?
When did I move?
Yeah.
Okay, so I moved at the end of October. Um, I was in the later group because this whole program, okay, so our official title is like Auxiliar de Conversación. That's the Spanish word for it. And it means like conversation assistant. Um, there's like a ton of different titles I think you could use for it, but in Spain, they have this program, the country put it on, where they have all these English native speakers come over and work in the classrooms and work as assistants, helping them learn English. So I don't know how long they've been doing it, but it's a way to help improve um, the kids' English. So anyways, most auxes, that's what I call it, auxes, would start October 1st. And since I was kind of like I was late at applying, I actually got put with the later group. So I started November 1st. And I was disappointed about that at first because I wanted to get back to Europe as soon as I could. But then I thought about it more and I was like, what if I just go to Italy with my host family before I go to Madrid? So I
Mhm.
talked, said, um, if I have my visa at that point in September, I could come over and stay with you guys for like a month and work as the au pair before I moved to Madrid. So they were so nice and they let me come. And yeah, I was really happy about that because I kind of got to do both
Mhm.
things. So yeah, I moved officially, I think like mid-September over to Italy. And then October like 23rd, I moved from Italy to Madrid. And I've been here since.
Okay, so that was like 6 months ago or something like that. Yeah. Great. So there must be some type of change in visa, I guess, because now you can stay for a longer period of time. Is that
Mhm.
because you are working officially for a company and the company provides the visa?
So I'm actually on a student visa.
Okay.
Um, that's what they have the language assistants on. And so we only work 16 hours a week. And because there are some rules, if you are on a student visa, I think maybe you can't work more than 20 hours a week, something like that. So I don't really know why they have us on student visas, but they do. And my visa will run out when my job ends for when school's out for the summer. So I have it through June 30th, but we have 90 days after the visa runs out of like wiggle room. So yeah, if you want, you can stay until like probably September.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us how you're loving it and what is it like to live abroad?
I'm loving Madrid. I had never been here before I moved here. So that was scary for sure. I'd been to Barcelona, and I feel like Spain is similar to Italy. So, yeah, but I didn't know how I was gonna like it, but I'm loving living in a big city. Um, I grew up in Dallas, which is like it's a big city, but it's not like a real like super big city like New York. So I feel like I'm living in New York. I've actually heard people compare Madrid is like the European New York
Hmm.
and Barcelona is like Miami.
Okay, that's probably a
Yeah.
good description of them. I can see that just from like the experiences that I've seen.
Mhm. Yeah, so the architecture here is gorgeous. It's just like a very like it's very chic, but it's also very laid back. It's very sunny here. Um, we're gonna have great weather this weekend. I'm so excited. But
You
yeah,
travel a lot, it looks like. Do you travel with friends or do you travel by yourself?
I do both.
Okay.
So yeah, that's another thing that I can talk about, like solo travel. Um, we have a lot of holidays here in Spain. I never really know what they're for,
Mhm.
but they're great. So like we have in February, we just had like a Thursday and a Friday off. So it was like 4 day weekend. And back in November, when I started working, I was like trying to figure out all my holidays, breaks, and see where I could travel to. Because I have a bucket list of everywhere I want to go. And it's just like so much easier to travel around. I feel like everything is like a 2 hour plane ride away. Um, it's way cheaper like to travel here, which is great. Living in Oregon, like if I want to go back to Dallas for a weekend or whatever, like minimum $500.
Yeah.
Um, it's crazy. And so here it's like I get like 200. I feel like everything's less than 200 euros, like a
Huh.
plane ride. So yeah, but back in November, I was like trying to figure out everywhere I wanted to go. And for that February break, which was a few weeks ago, I really wanted to go to Amsterdam because I'd always wanted to go there. And so I just like booked it and I asked my group of friends if anybody wants to go. But I think a couple of them had already been there. And so they wanted to maybe go somewhere else. But I just booked it because I was like, I really want to do this no matter what. And so they ended up going somewhere else. So I went by myself and it was great. Like, I just think if you don't do something, you might not ever get the chance to do it. So even if you have to do it alone, you should do it.
So you traveled to Amsterdam by yourself.
Yes. Yeah. So that was like,
Where else
I,
have you gone?
okay, my solo trips or just in general?
The solo trips.
Okay, so my first solo trip was in London. Second, I'd say is like was Cinque Terre, in Italy. And
Awesome.
yeah, that was they're also just like short weekend trips. I don't know if I could do like weeks at a time of solo travel. Um, and then Amsterdam was my most recent solo trip.
Mhm.
I am kind of when I travel, like I want to do everything, I feel like. And it's just like I find it way easier to kind of like do everything I want to do if I'm alone. I love traveling with my friends, but it is nice to like just make my own decisions and like not even have to think about because everybody's different, you know?
Mhm.
If
And
I'm really tired, like, okay, then I can go back to the Airbnb for a little bit.
yeah, that's the
So that,
nice thing is like making decisions. Like all the times that I've traveled by myself versus with people, it's like, okay, we know we're gonna eat here today at lunch. Well, if I'm by myself, I can think I want to go there and I'll walk past and like, I want to go to the bakery instead and completely change things last second.
yeah, exactly.
So what are some things that you would recommend to people who in America who want to like explore living abroad?
Um, it's so expensive, you know? So it's kind of like if you are up to it, like I would recommend doing au pair for a little bit. I think that's the cheapest way to like live in another country for a little bit. Um, so I definitely would explore that. I'm loving my English assistant job right now, but it is a commitment. So, especially if you come over like in September, I think you'd be here for like 9 months. Um, so yeah, I think testing the waters maybe with au pairing for like 3 months or so is definitely a good way to start and like see if it's for you because it's definitely not for everybody. Um, and every host family is different. So maybe not everybody's gonna have as good of an experience as I did. Um, but yeah, I think that's like a great way to start.
Okay, and then my other question is, don't you get paid with what you're currently doing?
Yes.
So
So
that reduces
I
the cost because you said it was so expensive.
oh, okay. I meant traveling to Europe in general, like taking a vacation to
Okay.
Europe, so expensive, like thousands of dollars. So that's what I meant with that. But yeah, I can talk about the how much I got paid. So for au pair, I got 50 euros a week. So, and I got that like in cash. Um, and that was just, I used that for like coffee and extra things that I wanted or needed, train tickets, stuff like that. Um, I think in Italy, I feel like people were getting paid like 50 to like 100 euros a week, but it depends on where you live, how many kids you have, like how much work you have to do. And then I did meet an au pair in Paris. I think she got like 150 a week.
A lot.
And that's, yeah, Paris is a lot more expensive than where I was living. So that made
Okay.
sense. Yeah. So I'd say unless you are with like billionaire family, that's like what you'll be looking at is like maybe 50 to 150 a week as an au
So
pair.
come with money. Like the
Yes.
job that you had before as a dental hygienist kind of probably prepped and helped your bank account, savings account.
Yeah. Moving home also, not paying
Okay.
rent, great. Eating with my parents every night, like
Mhm.
them providing groceries. Like I saved a lot before I went over there. Um, so yeah, I would definitely recommend that if you want to like make the most of your experience and like travel other places. Um, yeah, then this job, we get 1,000 euros a month. And that sounds kind of crazy too. I was like really scared when I heard that because you have to find your own place to live.
Mm.
And so it is tough, but it's doable. Rent here in Madrid, I've heard people have like 350 euro apartment for the month.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my apartment is 600 euros a month for me. I have two roommates. So we make it work. It is the cost of living here is just like a lot less.
Oh,
So yeah. I also babysit. A lot of people will do like English tutoring on weeknights, and you can definitely make like a lot more money through that. So that's helped me as well, but definitely have to budget for me.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least you have roommates because I feel like it can be lonely living alone somewhere, especially when all your friends are back home. So I'm sure you've been able to make some friends here.
Yeah, definitely. And most of them, like I almost feel like I'm back in college kind of with that social aspect because there's so many of us that do the same job at all different schools. And since I came with a group, CIEE, we had like an orientation and there's a Facebook group, there's a WhatsApp group. Um, so I've met a ton of people through that. There's also, I think, 4 other Americans working at my school. Um, so that's been like, I will say it's been pretty easy to meet other people because everybody's kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great.
What other advice do you have for people who want to pursue this?
Um, let me see. Sorry, drink water.
It's okay if you don't have anything either.
Okay, I need to think.
Well, okay, we can just skip that. My next question. Okay, so what is something that you're loving right now? Maybe it's a TV show or a podcast or a place to shop. I mean, I'm sure the shopping is a lot better in Madrid than it is
Yeah.
here in, but what is something that you're recommending and loving?
Okay, I love this. I'm excited about the pop culture part.
Ah,
I'm going to start with the podcast. My favorite podcast is The Toast.
me
Uh,
too. Wait, I knew that you were a toaster.
I love it so much. I've been a toaster since like 2021. My one of my best friends introduced it to me. I love them so much. It's like an everyday ritual for me. That's how I find out everything. Um, so definitely always recommending the toast to everybody.
Me too.
Uh,
I watch the YouTube as much as I can, but sometimes when I'm like on a walk, then I'll switch to podcast, but I prefer the YouTube. Do
yeah,
you have
I
Patreon? Because I'm dying
I
to watch. Ah, have you watched the recent ones with St. Barth's and all the
yeah,
vlogs for that?
yeah,
How was it?
it was good. They just like crack me up. They're so funny. Um, and Claudia just got her new puppy. It's so cute.
She did a
Sweetest.
Patreon on that too, didn't she?
Yes, like a whole vlog
I'm
from
so jealous. I need to get Patreon.
yeah, it's I mean like yeah, it's in my budget. I'm obsessed with them.
Me too.
Um, always recommend that. Today I'm very excited because Taylor Swift Eras movie just came out on Disney Plus. I love Taylor Swift so much. I always have. And I was listening to some of your older podcasts actually. So I know you're a Swiftie as well.
Huge 50. The I guess I'm excited for the Disney Plus, but to be honest, I've been using this link that's like I found on TikTok that shows
Mhm.
her entire concert that was like, you could rent it a couple months ago or whatever. I guess
Yeah.
it was I found like a website where you could just watch it for free, and so I watch it all the time. So I probably watched it like 10 times. And sometimes like yesterday morning, instead of listening to like a motivational podcast or something, I just decided to watch the Eras tour. And
Love it.
so I'll pop in and just watch like one era for 20 minutes or something.
Oh
So
my God. Um, I used to listen sometimes like on a walk or a run, like the intro to the concert, because it like so much energy.
it's been a long time coming. There's
Yes.
this one TikTok that I saw, it was over Christmas, and they were like in a Catholic cathedral, and there was the popes, or I'm not Catholic, so I don't know, but like the popes walking down the aisle, and they have these sticks that have like a flag, and the TikTok like had videotaped that, and they put that intro on. Because in the
Wow.
beginning of the Eras tour, she has like those rainbow flag things.
Yes. Yes.
So funny. So now I think
That's
of that.
yeah, I'm actually so lucky. I'm going to see her in Madrid in May. Um, I found that out like last summer because she dropped all of her Europe dates. And I was like, I'm gonna be in Madrid. Like, I have to go.
I will spend
S-
$10,000.
Yes, I was like, I will be there. Um,
How'd you
so I
get
had,
tickets?
well, okay, so every time I got to go to the Eras tour in Nashville also.
Cool.
Um, but every time they do like the thing where you have to sign up for a code, I would sign up my parents, I would sign up my multiple emails and just hope for the best. So for Spain, I think my dad was the one who ended up getting the code. So I had to wake up in the middle of the night. I think it was like 3 or 4 in the morning, get on Ticketmaster, and sit there and wait. And I think I was in the line for over an hour. And when I got in, they were like, only VIP are left, which just doesn't make sense to me because I think the amount of people in front of me, it wasn't like that many. And I was like looking up how many people can fit in the stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of forced to buy VIP tickets, but they're not on the floor. They're like in one of the higher sections. But I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. How much were they?
I think they were like 450
That's not bad.
euros. Yeah.
I was worried
And
it was going to be in the thousands if it was VIP.
and I don't even know what that means. I think we get like a tote bag and some stickers, and maybe we get to go in early. But yeah, that's May 30th. And I bought 3 tickets because I was like, I don't like, I need friends to come with me.
Mhm.
And so I have met a girl, and her mom is actually going to be in town that week too. So we are going to the Eras tour together, and I need to figure out my outfit. But I'm so excited for that.
What did you wear in Nashville? And were you there the night it stormed?
Yes, it was
Boy.
so amazing. Um, I went with my best friend in the world, and we have been going to Taylor Swift concerts since we were like, I don't know, 13 or 14. So it was, I think, our fourth show together to see Taylor. Um, we decided to wear princess dresses.
Sure.
So I feel like, yeah, she wore pink, I wore like lavender. So my theme was kind of like love story, lavender haze, speak now. That was my vibe.
Love it.
Yeah.
Um, I also love in the toast that they call her tailored with a D.
Taylor.
I'm not enough of an OG to understand why there's a D at the end, but all I
I
know
know.
is that they make up like their own words half the time, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I know. When I tell people to go listen to the podcast, I'm like, let me know if you have any questions. I can tell you because they did do a Patreon episode. It was a while ago, but they went through all of their lingo and like explained it. So I know most of it, but some of the times I'm just like, what?
I know. They're really into bad faith actor right now. Like almost
Yes.
every episode, they're like, is she acting in this bad faith actor? And during the SAG-AFTRA, I don't actually know what it's
Yeah.
called, but like they call it SAG-AFTRA with an
Yeah.
S. And that's all that I know that it is. I don't know what it's actually called.
Yeah, I don't either. They were obsessed with
I
that was
know. It's been funny to watch when Jackie was out of office for her maternity leave. Claudia had a bunch of guests, and that was so fun to have like Cody Rigsby on there, Jake
yeah,
Shane. That's his name,
I
Jake Shane.
I love him.
Me too.
Uh, that was so much fun. I loved the podcast episodes.
hmm And Paige DeSorbo.
Yes, I love her too.
Okay, what
Every
is I love that they did those collabs, and I think they need to do more. Maybe I'll have to write in.
I
Um,
agree.
But just to wrap this up here, thank you so much for being on. But what is a good way for people who are interested in learning more to reach out to you? I reached out to you on TikTok, so maybe that's a good place to start. But what's a great way to contact you?
Yeah. TikTok is great now because they have like you used to not be able to message people,
I
and
know.
they find at us. So now I get like message requests. Um, I think I have my Instagram linked on my TikTok as well. So some people will come over from TikTok, and I was so shocked whenever I think I had one video. It was actually like my last au pair video. It was the day that I left, and that's the video that kind of went viral. And then from that, I got like so many messages about au pairing. So I think people are
Cool.
definitely interested in that. And that's why I started doing like my day in the life videos because when I was starting to research it, like I was looking for that content. So yeah, TikTok, I think my username is Catherine G underscore. Same thing on Instagram.
Okay.
The definitely the best ways to reach me.
Well, that's awesome that people are reaching out to you because obviously there's an interest and I love your content. So
Thank you.
living through you.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad I got introduced to your podcast. I think it's like such a great idea.
Thank you. Yeah, share it to other people too, because honestly, I didn't know what jobs were out there and
Yeah.
what they actually like entail and what
Yeah.
qualifications you need, because sometimes you don't need as many qualifications as you might think you do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't mention for the language assistant job that I have, you do need a college degree, but you do not need any like teaching certification, anything like that. So
Do you have to
most
speak
people,
Spanish?
no, you do
Okay.
not want you to speak only English with the kids. Um, and most people do not have any teaching background at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really quick story. My cousin went to China after he graduated college to teach English,
Oh, so
and he's never been to China, never spoke Chinese, anything, was just like randomly placed in China and met another woman who was teaching there, who was Chinese, fully Chinese from like a very small town, ended
mhm.
up like dating or something. He moved back to America at the end over Skype or Zoom or whatever. He proposed and now she lives here. So we've got a Chinese cousin. It's great.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, that's actually like my dream. I am
Okay.
searching a husband. Um, I'm hoping that he's out here somewhere because I am in love with living in Europe. I'm actually, so I applied and like I'm gonna do a second year here with my same job. Still need to figure out what I'm gonna do during the summer because I will not have a job during that time as a teacher. But yeah, that's my plan right now. Do another year, and I would love to live here like forever.
Okay, I'm
So
manifesting some type of hot man for you,
yeah,
Italian specifically.
yeah, exactly. And just like being around these kids who can like speak two languages fluently, it amazes me. And I'm like, I just want my, hopefully, you know, if I have a family, um, I would love to have my kids like around different cultures and learning different languages because I wish now that I'm here that maybe like our schools would have pushed us a little bit harder to learn more languages. So
Yeah. And one quick question. Is it true that you can eat gluten there if you can't eat it here?
I have heard that. I've never had any issues with the gluten, thankfully. But I have heard several people say like they are totally allergic to gluten and then they eat so much pasta and they're
Yeah,
perfectly fine. Everything is just like so different, like the way they make things. So, yeah.
better in Europe.
Yeah, and people say like they'll go to Europe and like or they go to Italy for a week and like only eat pasta and gelato and pizza and they like lose weight.
Oh,
Uh,
rude.
yeah, active
Really,
here.
really rude.
I know.
You could not do that here.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Well,
important.
this was awesome. Thank you so much for meeting Kat, and I hope you have a fun weekend in Madrid.
So yeah, if I was gonna say if anybody's interested in dental hygiene, I would be happy to talk about that on another podcast too, because that is like a whole different story.
Yeah. Do you think you'll pursue that in Europe?
Um, Probably not. We'll see what happens. You know, I do not have a plan right now, so we're just gonna see what happens. But
There's something to be said about that, and I'm really proud of you. Thank you for saying like, what? Who says we need to have such a plan?
yeah, exactly. It's definitely scary sometimes. Can't think about that too much. Just try to
Mm-mm.
live. But yeah, I'm 26 and I don't need to be rushing anything. So we're just living life.
My vibe right now is just live life.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kat. This was really, really fun. I wish I lived in Madrid.
Yeah, come visit. You can stay with me. It's
Okay. If your friends suddenly bail on Taylor Swift in May, just message me. I'll show up.
For sure.